Starting Yechiel Schita, Simen Shin Chaf. I think it's year 11 in the English. Before we start Schita, we have to give a little bit of Akdama. The Sif Aleph is a little complicated, especially the Morgan Avram. We'll see how much we accomplish. So the first thing we have to know about Schita is that the Issa Schita is when you have an Eichel, you have a food, and you're taking out of the food a mashka. You're squeezing a juice out of a food. A mashka from an Eichel. That's number A for Schita. If for some reason or another what's coming out is not called a mashka, it's called an Eichel. It means something that squeeze juice out of a fruit. In the Gemara terms, it's not called a mashka, it's not called a juice. It's called an eichel. It's considered a food. So the same way you're allowed to cut up a food on Shabbos, so you're allowed to separate food from a food on Shabbos, the juice from the grape, or not a grape or anything else, because it's not called a mashka. It's called an eichel. So the first thing is, in order for it to be called Schita, it has to be a mashke from an eichel. That's A. That's the first thing you have to know about Schita. So therefore, Zaysim...
By apples, when it's cooked apples also.
Yeah.
Okay. The
water is different. Yeah.
But there's juice that comes out.
Right, it's not Schita. So you have Zaysim v'alavim, which is olives and grapes. So the Mishnah says, Zaysev v'alavim is an issa d'oraisa to squeeze it out. And the reason for that is because Zaysev v'alavim, olives and grapes, is meant for the juice. After the kach, we find even in Hilchos Brachos that grapes and olives, the bracha on the juices changes. So olives, the Gemara says, why not? But it's half minute why it should. Why? Because those things are meant for the juices. When they were created, Zaysim v'alavim, they were meant for the juice. So therefore, when you squeeze out Zaysim v'alavim, everyone agrees the mashke, the juice that comes out of Zaysim v'alavim, is called mashke. Therefore, it's an issa d'oraisa to squeeze out Zaysim v'alavim.
Just going back on what you said before, you said as a klal, if something that is extracted from the food is an oichel, then that's no dinner skita because it's oichel from oichel.
Right.
But you might still have a problem with boyer.
I'm not getting into boyer. We're talking about. We'll see later on in the simon. There may be a time where when you're extracting the juice from a food, even though it's an oichel, it's a problem of boyer. Right. We'll see by boiser. We'll see. Yeah. But I'm not talking about boyer. I'm talking about skita. So Zaysev v'alavim, everyone agrees, is an issa d'oraisa because what's coming out of Zaysev v'alavim is a mashke, and it's a mashke coming from an eichel, so it's called Schita. That's Zaysev v'alavim. An issa d'oraisa to do Schita. The Gemara brings the case of tutim v'rimonim. Tutim v'rimonim is pomegranates and berries, which these things, there was a place called Beis Menashe. It was a place that they used to squeeze it out for the juices. So the Gemara there says that since some people squeeze it out for its juices, so it gets a shem mashke. So again, the food, the juice that comes out, is called a mashke, and therefore it's an issa d'rabbanan, not an issa d'oraisa. It's an issa d'rabbanan to squeeze out tutim v'alavim. Why? Because only some people do it. Not everybody does it. Some people do it. The rabbanan asked it atu zaysev v'alavim, because you may come to squeeze out Zaysev v'alavim. But it's not a din d'oraisa. Why isn't it issa d'oraisa? Because again, it doesn't really have a shem mashka that comes out of it. Some people gave it a shem mashka, some people squeeze it out. Most people just eat it with the juice inside. So we take out the juice, it's called an eichel from an eichel. And therefore it's not issa d'oraisa. The Rabbanan asked it, tutim v'remoinim, otu Zaysev v'alavim. Now, exactly what it means that tutim v'remoinim is also, we'll have to see when we get to the Magen Avram, if it's just in the place where they squeeze it out, or once there's one place that squeeze it out, All places are also. We'll get to that when we see the Magen Avraham and the Ramah. The third level is called Shar Peiros. Shar Peiros is when nobody squeezes it out. There's no place that squeezes it out. They have one yachid, one single person who decided today he wants to squeeze out this fruit. So over there, the Gemara says Shar Peiros is mutter. Shar Peiros is not even it's the Rabban to squeeze it out. Since nobody does it, it's one person that squeezes it out. It's batla daita etzer kol adam. His das doesn't mean anything, and therefore we didn't even make a gzeira to asur it. It's mutter lechatchila to squeeze out Shar Peiros. That's what the Gemara says. Then the Gemara has a kasha, and the Gemara comes out brings out a gzeira. A gzeira says that there's a din of achshavinu. Achshavinu means that even if it's one person that squeezes it out, he has a right to make it into a mashka, and it's asur. If he decides it's a mashka, it's called a mashka midrabbanan, and it's asur. We'll see the passion with asur for him, only for him,
Yeah, right.
only for him. Even two different money, we didn't say who it's asur for yet. It's asur for the whole world, or only asur for that place. This case is definitely only would be asur to him, and we'll see soon. Pashas with a paskin that way, Taz brings out a shita that does paskin that way. Pashas we hold Shar Peiros, which nobody squeezes out. You have one person who decides to squeeze it out, so that person, even for that person, is mutter. That's a pashas.
Even for the person who wants it?
Even for the person who wants it. There's one shita, we'll see the Taz.
But Achshavei for himself?
Achshavei for himself was batal daita.
But that's what Achshavei is.
But actually, so that's one sheet in the one of Zera. We'll see the Rishonim say that if Zera wasn't.
He says that Batla Daita doesn't apply.
No, so we'll see if Zera says the Rishonim learn of Zera that Achshavei means that if you have that's one place that squeezes out two different Rimonim, there is a place that does like Beis Menashe. The Achshavei goes on that. If a person is not a Beis Menashe, he's in a different place, and he's squeezing out two different Rimonim. His achshavei works. Even though the place where he is now, it's not called a mashke, because no one squeezes it out. His achshavei that he wants to make it into a mashke, it makes it into a mashke and it's asur, because there's a place, someplace else, a whole place, that squeezes out this type of fruit.
But if there was no such place,
there's no such place in the world. Even his achshavei wouldn't work. That's the
who says that's not?
The Rishonim. No, the Taz holds his achshavei would work. We'll see the Bi'alacha.
All the time, right.
Yeah, we'll see the Bi'alacha brings down that most of the Shem don't go that way, and they hold that his achshavei by himself doesn't work. His achshavei, if he's the one person in the world that squeezes it out, it doesn't work. If Zayda was only speaking about on Tutu V'Rimonim, where there is a place that squeezes out this type of Peiros, so therefore, even though I don't live in that place, I'm squeezing it out in a different place, it's still also because of my achshavei.
I mean, but today, let's say, for example, when there are many stores around that squeeze fruits, all kinds of fruits.
Yeah.
But so there's.
It's not Shar Peiros.
So you have Shar.
Right. So they say the place can say that today there's come out no fruit that has a din of Shar Peiros.
Because everything is.
Because today everything is squeezed. All fruits are squeezed, and therefore today the place can say there's nothing called.
It's not on Biyad.
Yeah, it's even worse.
No, but on Shabbos you don't.
It means a kli. But Shar Peiros, all the Rishonim, all the Poskim today say that there's no such thing as Shar Peiros today. Because there's any fruit you're going to find someplace that's squeezing it out.
So they all come under Tutim and.
They all come under the get of Tutim V'Rimonim, and therefore it'll be asur lischait. It'll be asur to squeeze it out.
You mentioned cucumbers is the exception.
Yeah, if you can squeeze out. If you can squeeze out cucumber.
Juice for those cucumbers?
We have
but we're talking about Peiros, that's vegetables. We're talking about Peiros, vegetables, you're right. I know people squeeze out vegetables, but Peiros, fruits.
You can buy Gatorade now that's cucumber flavor.
Yeah. I don't know if that's enough. Maybe, I don't know.
Everything.
Something gave, but anything you're going to squeeze out, is they squeeze out someplace else. So it goes into the get of Tutim V'Rimonim, and therefore it's also to do anything today. There's no Shar Peiros today. Now, there's another machlokes in the poskim. So we set up the Zeisav Anovim Issa Deraisa, Tutum Vermoinim Issa Derabanan, where there's a place that squeezes it out, and Shar Peiris that nobody squeezes out. So we said most of the Peiris today go into the gather of Tutum Vermoinim. Is it possible today to put something into the gather of Zeisav Anovim? Is it possible to have a fruit today that will become an Issa Deraisa? And it'll be in the gather of Zeisav Anovim. That's a big machlokes in the Heintung Achronim. If I'm not mistaken, the Yashav Paskin, that oranges today has the same din as Zeisav Anovim. Because most of the oranges that are grown are meant to be squeezed, and therefore it goes into the gather of Zeisav Anovim. So it's an Issa Deraisa. The only chiluk is an Issa Deraisa and Issa Derabanan. It's definitely also to squeeze it out. And we'll see there's one difference, another difference. But so I think Rabbi Yashav holds that that oranges today is begeder Zeisav Anovim. I think Rabbi Zalman argues and he says that nothing could be in the gather of Zeisav Anovim, even though today they're squeezing so many oranges. It's not what it was created for. Zeisav Anovim, we see the bracha is different on it because it's meant for its juices. Oranges wasn't meant for its juices, even though today most of the oranges are squeezed. It's still not Zeisav Anovim, it's not Issa Deraisa.
And what about lemons? We eat it.
Lemons, also, same thing. Lemons, I won't say most of the lemons are for juices. That's what it is? Most of the lemons are for juices? Maybe. I don't know.
Nobody really eats lemons.
Right. The truth is, lemons, even the ones you have in your house, are meant to squeeze out. Yeah.
No, you can slice them and put them in tea.
Yeah. Right, but you could do that, but most of the lemons today are squeezed.
Right.
Yeah.
But let's say you just put it in tea and the flavor comes out. That's not...
No, that's mutter. That's mutter.
That's mutter.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe even the squeeze into the tea is mutter.
Oh, even squeezing it?
We'll see. We'll get to that soon.
Well, as a sweetener.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll get to actual squeeze. We're talking about now squeezing
For juice.
fruits to drink the juice. Squeezing a fruit or a lemon, let's say, into a food.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see later on. That's a whole different halacha.
Right.
Because it could be it's not called a mashka. It never got a shame mashka.
Right.
It's always called an oichel. You're squeezing it onto fish, right?
Yeah.
So the juice that came out was never called mashka.
It's a flavoring.
It's a flavoring to a food. So never. That's what we started off. And the first side of boyer is it has to be a mashka coming from an oichel. So therefore, if we're squeezing, we'll say later on, lemon onto food, it could be never got a shem mashka, and it's mutter. It's mutter l'chatchil to do. We'll see when we get to Allah later on. But that's the side you have to remember through boyer. Boyer is taking out a mashka from an oichel.
Schita, not boyer.
Oh, sorry, schita. Schita. Sorry. That's it. For schita. Schita is taking out a mashka from an oichel. So that's the three levels, and the machlokes is if it's possible today to have anything going into the first level of Zeisav Anovim. So that's one nafkamina is Issa Deraisa and Issa Derabanan. So another nafkamina we'll see now in the Shulchan Aruch is, let's say you don't squeeze it out. You left it on the table, and juice came out on Shabbos. On Shabbos itself, by itself.
Yeah.
So there it depends. If it's Zeisav Anovim, so there's two things, there's two types of Zeisav Anovim. The one says the Zeisav Anovim that these grapes, these actual grapes, you gather them together to make wine. That's called, you gather them lamashka. It's called lamashka. Then you have grapes you gather to eat. And you're going to eat them. You left them in your house in a bowl and juice came out of it. So that's called l'oichlon. So over here you have a difference between Zeisav Anovim and Tutim V'Rimonim. Zeisav Anovim, whether you gather them for eating it, whether you gather them for squeezing the juice, if the juice came out on Shabbos, not before Shabbos, on Shabbos, that juice is also to drink, even though you didn't squeeze it.
How much juice? I mean, why is it even called a mashka? Because I mean, the amount of juice that's coming out, if you haven't squeezed it, it's going to be.
It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't have to be called a mashka. It's an issa d'rabbanan on this. This is an issa d'rabbanan. Any mashka that comes out of the fruit on Shabbos, even though it's not called a mashka. Even though it's not called a mashka, it's an issa d'rabbanan. A mashka is an issa d'oraisa.
It's a gzera because you might come to.
It's a gzera because you might come to squeeze it. So Zeisav Anovim, they made a gzera that even though you didn't squeeze it, the juice came out by itself. Whether you gather the oichel, whether you gather the mashka, it makes no difference. It's always awesome. That's Zeisav Anovim. Tutim v'rimonim, since the whole Issa Tutiv Remoyim is only D'Rabbanan, so if the juice came out by itself on Shabbos, there's a difference between the Eichel or the Mashke. If you gathered it for an Eichel, the D'Rabbanan didn't make a Gzeira. Because these fruits you're meant to eat, and the juice that came out is like a food, and therefore it didn't make a Gzeira. If you gather the Mashke, you gather it to drink, then even though you didn't squeeze it on Shabbos, it came out by itself, it's still awesome with the Rabbanon.
There's no problem of Noilet here?
No problem with Noilet. Why should there be Noilet? Because the juice came out.
It came out as you started as Zolan, and on Shabbos you could
it's not a problem of Noilet. It's not a problem of Noilet.
Now you have a Gezerah on a Gezerah.
Yeah, a Gezerah on a Gezerah. Because the whole Tutiv Remoyim is a Gezerah up to Deishma Novim, and the Mashke is a good kasha, and they speak about it. They say that it's Kul Chad Gezerah. It's all because the question is when you're drinking the mashke, they're trying to speak about it in one of Kocham Gimel on the days. They say when you're taking the mashke of Tutiv Remoyim, what is the Gzeira? Is the Gzeira that you may come to squeeze Tutiv Remoyim, or is the Gzeira you may come to squeeze Esav Anov?
Right.
Which is the Gzeira straight to Esav Anov. It's not Gzeira the Gzeira. It's Esav Anov and it's a deraisa. So if it's a juice of Tutiv Remoyim that's meant the mashke, maybe the Gzeira is it may come to squeeze Esav Anov. So that's already not a Gzeira the Gzeira. That's already it's a deraisa. You're right. If you're going into Gzeira up to Tutiv Remoyim and you squeeze it, then the Tutiv Remoyim up to Esav Anov, it's a Gzeira the Gzeira. But the Gzeira may be direct to Esav Anov.
So the mashka that comes out by itself, is it mutter after Shabbos?
Yeah. After Shabbos, short mutter. You have to expect Shiyasa with it. It's mutter. On Shabbos itself, the meaning Gzeira. Fine, that's the Akdama for the Sif. Now let's see it inside. It says the Mechaber, Sif Aleph. Zeisev Anovim, Osel L'Seiftan. Zeisev Anovim, you're now allowed to squeeze it out. And if you look in the Ramah right away, the beginning of the Siman Shin Chav Dvar Teiro, Einoi Chayiv, Ella al Drichas Zeisev Anovim Levad. Min HaTorah, you only Chayiv of Zeisev Anovim. The Mogen of Ram. The Mogen of Ram, right in the beginning of the Siman, 4 Sif Khan Aleph. Dvar Teiro, Einoi Chayiv, Ella al Drichas Zeisev Anovim Levad. Min HaTorah, you only Chayiv of Zeisev Anovim. That Tutiv Remoyim is a D'Rabbanan.
Yeah.
Now the question is orange juice. Could you die from this Mogen of Ram that orange juice can't be in this deraisa? Or no? What it means is, in those days, Esav Anovim was the only thing that was mainly meant for the juices. But today, if you have some that's mainly meant for the juices, maybe it goes into together as Esav Anovim. That's the machlokes nachronim. If you can bring a right from this Mogen of Ram, that everything else has to be only listed in Rabbanan.
Could there be this distinction if something has a klipa or actually it doesn't, whether you have to squeeze the whole fruit or effectively have a klipa around it?
What do you mean?
Meaning if the orange has a rind. Okay,
right.
So the whole tree in itself isn't actually for eating or actually for drinking. You can't squeeze it. They
don't make that chol. They don't make that chol.
Can you also be medayik in the washing of Jerichas? Zeisim Anovim is
But they used to step it up with the food.
What do you mean Jerichas?
Jerichas, the way they used to do it, they used to stomp on the...
yeah, but same thing as chita. It's the same thing. Same thing, yeah.
Is that the washing of Jerichas?
Yeah, the same thing. They squeeze it out with the hand, same as it.
Yeah.
It says, Eno Chayav Ela al
Source in the Torah, like, is it a pasuk? Is it a smachta?
No, it's chita. Okay, so schita.
For this, that it's only based on
what's the? Yeah, that's the question.
They hang it on.
No, we don't find it in the Torah. You find it in the Chazal.
Yeah.
You find it in the Chazal. The whole schita is only you find in the Lam Tes Malachas. Right? If you look in the first Mishnah Brura, also Seichtem Chayev Mishom Mefarek. Which Isser is schita in the Lam Tes Malachas?
Dash.
Not dash. Mefarek. They were told of the dash.
Yeah.
Mefarek is the told of dash.
Right.
Right? So the Isser is Mefarek. Told of the dash. That's what the Isser is of a dash. It's also pushing out the kernels from the husks. It's called dash. So this also pushing out the mashke from the oichel is is Mefarik told the Dash. So it doesn't say anywhere in the Torah Issa Mefarik, it's a Tolda. Zeisav Anovim, for sure doesn't say anywhere in the Torah Dafka Zeisav Anovim. Chazal said the only Issa is when there's a mashka, and Zeisav Anovim, the only two fruits that Minatayra, the juices are called juice. Everything else is called part of the fruit. You squeeze that part of the fruit. Where does it come from? It could be the Chazal got it from Mesiba Zeisav Anovim in Hilchos Brachos. Same thing. The made a bracha b'fnei asma Zeisav Anovim because that's meant to be squeezed out. Other things are not meant to be squeezed out. There's no makar in the Torah that dafka Zeisav Anovim. Doesn't say that.
Wasn't it they were dafka used in the Beit HaMikdash, or is that?
No, I don't think so.
And the concept of biyad, miyad, like we learned from, doesn't apply.
Doesn't apply by schita. No. No, but schita, the issue is the actual squeezing. It's not going to help if you do it miyad, biyad, alter, there's no heter. Boyer had those aterim. Schita, pasha does not have those aterim. Fine, so there's Eisim Anav Asma Seichtam, Vim Yatsu Me'atzman, and even if it comes up by itself on Shabbos, Asurim, it's Asur, Afil L'Hoyayimdim El La'achila. Even though it was only meant La'achila, said before, it's Eisim Anavim, is an Issa Deraisa, therefore, even if it was meant La'achila, and it came up by itself, it's still Asur. V'tutim V'rimoynim, Asur L'Seichtam, now, Tutim V'rimoyim is Asur L'Seichtam, and if you look at the Mishnah Berurah over here, I'm just running back and forth to the Mishnah Berurah here. Hey. Av Shestamayu Oivdim La'achila, even though Tutim V'rimoyim is meant La'achila, Hoyel Mitzas B'nei Adam Seichtim Oisam, some people squeeze out Zeisav Anovim, Asura Rabbanan up to Zeisav Anovim. So this Isser by Tutim V'rimoyim is an Isser D'Rabbanan. That is a D'Oraisa. It's up to Zeisav Anovim. Now from Yotzim Yatzman, says the Mechaber weiter, it came by itself, Im Oimdim La'achila Mutter, Im Oimdim L'mashkim Asur. So Tutim V'rimoyim, we made a difference already. If it's meant for Achila, if it came up by itself, it's mutter to drink that juice on Shabbos. If it was meant to be squeezed out, then the juice is also on Shabbos. Okay, then says the Mechaber v'shal kol peiris mutter l'seichtam. All other peiris are mutter to squeeze it out. All other peiris means something that nobody squeezes it out. Mutter l'seichtam. Now, if you look in the Mishnah Berurah over here, he says, Sifkatin Zayin, Mutter l'Seichtan, Shum the Oimdim La'achila, they're meant to be eaten, V'leka the Boy Luhu L'Mashkin, nobody uses it, needs it for Mashkin, Ein Shem Mashka Aliyah Mehem. It's not called a Mashka. No matter what, you can never make this into a Mashka. It's like you're taking an oichel from an oichel. Taking an oichel from an oichel is not schita, it's mutter. But after chitcha v'aleim is chitasai.
Before you addressed, you said maybe it's boirer, right? Because you have oichel from oichel. Here it sounds like it's going to be mutter.
It's mutter, yeah. It's not boirer. It's not called boirer.
Well, why not?
Because the passage here is minachod. We have a boirer and a heter of minachod.
Okay, so when you answered him before, you said maybe you have boirer.
It's a different case. We'll see. By boirer, it's not edible.
Right.
But the fruit itself is not edible. Only the juice is edible.
Simple. It's minachod.
Yeah, it's minachod. Remember, we had
Okay.
we had a Magen Avram, the Hilchos boirer.
Sivkat and
Yeah, we had a beer a lot.
Sivkat and Tes, very good. Tezayin. Sivkat and Tezayin. He says the Mills of Magen Avram, Sivkat and Tezayin, Hilchos boirer. He says that also schita mishum boirer shehakoil min echad. Everything is one min. So Pashas every schita won't be a din boirer because it's min echad.
From there's two pshatim. One pshat he wants to learn is that it's going to be a min echad, and then the second pshat he says I reject that opinion.
Magen Avram?
Yeah. And then later on he says, okay, even if you don't learn that it's going to be min echad, he has two pshat.
That's by the eggs. He rejects the pshat when he gave the chelmai and the chelmai. It's not min echad.
Right.
But when he gave schita, he stays.
Oh, by
schita's pairs, he stays. It's because it's min echad. Yeah, we'll see later on that by bites or something where the fruit is not edible, there may be a problem of bayr. We'll see. But here is no problem of bayr.
Is there an issue of marisign? Meaning, if somebody comes past your window, sees you doing schita, maybe isn't there a gzera that somebody would go and do zaytin?
I guess not. I mean, we don't say everything, and everything we don't say marisign.
Is that because just trying to understand?
No, it's not something it's meant. It's not meant to be squeezed. It's not meant to be squeezed. This fruit, don't forget, it's like someone sitting squeezing out a cucumber. Right? It's not meant to be squeezed. It's not I guess he didn't make a marisign on that. Then he finishes off, after who chishav alayim v'schitasa l'mashke, and even if he, the end of this Mishnah we were just saying before, but after chishav alayim v'schitasa l'mashke, even though he had a mind to do it for a mashke, batla daita etzek al-adam, his das is bottle, and therefore it's mutter. So if it's shar peiris, nobody squeezes out, his squeezing it out is not going to make it into a mashke, it's going to stay an oichel from an oichel, and therefore it is mutter. Now the Bir Halacha here, long Bir Halacha here, brings down the Taz. If you look in the Taz, Sif Katan Aleph, there's a long Taz over here, but there's a bit of machlokes in the Rishonim. Rashi and Tosfos hold that we said before, Achshavinu, that itself is enough to asa schita. Achshavinu, even though I'm one person myself, no one else, there's no base menashe, no one else does it, I do it myself. It's also for me to squeeze it because I'm achshavinu. The only time it's mutter to do schita and shar peiris, the Gemara does say shar peiris is mutter to do schita. Rashi holds the only time it's mutter to do schita and shar peiris is when I'm not doing it for the juice. I'm not squeezing it out because I want the juice. I'm squeezing it out because I want the fruit to taste better. I don't want the juice in the fruit, so I'm squeezing it out because I want the fruit to taste better. So there's no mashka here. It never became mashka. That's a different heter we'll see later on in the Siman. When you're squeezing out a fruit, not because you want the juice, because it's better for the fruit not to have the juice inside.
Does it have to be l'alter right away by eating?
No, it doesn't have to be l'alter. Don't have the alter over here. If you're squeezing it out, the fruit, because you don't want the juice in the fruit, not because you want the juice, that's called the mate capri, to sweeten the pri.
It's like a malacha shen.
No. It's not a malacha shen gufa. It's better than that, because it never became a mashka. Now, the only time it becomes a mashka is if it's achshavinu, I want it to be a mashka. If I want to drink it. If you don't want to drink it, it doesn't become a mashka. So the mate capri is mutter. Zeisim va'anovim, the pashtas we'll see, is the whole machlokas about it. But Zeisim va'anovim, it could be, even though you're doing the matak as a pre, it's awesome. Why? Because Zeisim va'anovim, it's automatically a mashka. What's coming out of it is automatically a mashka. Whether you want it to be a mashka or not, it's automatically a mashka. So the matak pre may not help. Even though it's a lachas shichal gufa, it may not help. Because that's a mashka. Once it's a mashka, it's called schita. But shar peiris, everyone agrees, if I'm doing it a matak as a pri, I'm just doing it to get the juice out, it's mutter. So that's why Rashi learns the sugya in Kufam Gimel Lamed Beis. Rashi takes his hold that shar peiris that it says it's mutter is only in the case where it's the matak as a pri, but not when I want the juice. Because if I want the juice, there's an achshavinu. The Taz brings us down a long Taz Simchat Aleph. All the way at the end he says the last few words. Look at v'nimtze pshat hashulchan aruch l-liyu. Right before Sifkan Beis in the Taz, the line or two up. All the way at the end of the Taz.
The last one then.
The last is a long line.
V'nimtze pshat hashulchan aruch. Is this psak for you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What do you have?
Psak.
Do you have pshat?
Yeah. So the old shulchan aruch is psak. Okay, v'nimtze psak hashulchan aruch l-liyu. Why? The Shar Kol HaPeiros Mutter L'Seichtan, when it says in the Shulchan Aruch, Mechaber says, Shar Kol HaPeiros Mutter L'Seichtan, it's mutter to squeeze it out. What does it mean, says the Taz? T'hainu b'stomach. Aber b'mechaber l'hoitzim hen mashke l'tzorech ha-mashke aser. If you have a mind to do it for the mashke, it's aser. Chach aser para'im. And the reason is because when you're doing it stam, you mean to do it l'matak as a pri. That's mutter. But if you're squeezing it out to get the mashke out, the Taz holds it's aser. That's what the Taz holds.
Can you tell me when you would have a case like that? Because if you're squeezing the stuff out, if you're doing it over a cup, then it means you for sure that you're covering to the mashka. Because you're doing it over the sink.
I'm not doing over the cup. Doing over the sink.
Okay, but the sink, you're not going to drink something out.
Yeah, and that's why it's mutter according to the Taz. Only in that case it's mutter according to the Taz. According to Rashi.
Because it's going to go down the drain. I mean, so there's no.
But this is what I love. If you squeeze it over the sink, it's also.
Yeah, but no one's going to drink something from the sink.
No, to do the mitzvah itself.
Right, I understand that, but I'm saying is I'm just trying to understand the case where you're doing the schita and you're not trying to get the mashke.
Because I don't want it in the fruit. The fruit has too much juice in it. I'm squeezing it out. I don't care about the juice. I want to eat the fruit.
Right.
So if you have a grape, there's too much juice in it. You don't want all the juice. So you want to squeeze it out, let the matzah go to the garbage, and then eat the grape. By grapes, maybe it'll be awesome. By Shar Peiros, everyone agrees it's mutter, because it's not called a mashke. So that's how the Taz learns, like Rashi learns the Gemara of Shar Peiros, that's mutter. Because if I want the mashke, there's automatically an achshavinu. That's what the Taz learns.
But in the case of grapes and olives, even if you don't want the mashke,
it could be. We'll get to it next week.
So let's say you're cutting grapes or grape.
Let's have something else. You're cutting grapes and the juice comes out. There's a whole shal about that. When you're cutting grapes and the juice, the part of the juice that comes out, you're not allowed to drink. But you have to worry about schita. You don't have to worry about schita. You're cutting grapes and juice comes out of it, you don't have to worry about schita.
Even if it's in the same bowl.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about schita.
So Taz is explaining Rashi?
No, Taz passes like Rashi. And we'll see, the Taz holds that most of the Rishonim hold like Rashi, and the Bir Halacha says it's not true. Most of the Rishonim don't hold like Rashi, and therefore the Bir Halacha paskins that Shar Peiros, it's mutter to do schita, even though you're not doing the matak as a pri. That's the machlokes over here. So the Taz brings down, the long Taz brings down Rashi, and he says most of the Rishonim hold like Rashi, and the Bir Halacha says not that way. The Bir Halacha says he's mashkin, that's Pshat Rashi. But he says we don't paskin like Rashi, and we hold that if you do
something. What did Rashi say that is so?
Rashi says that in the Gemara.
I mean, it sounds like right.
No, Rashi says the Gemara of Achshavinu.
Right.
But Eliezer says Achshavinu. Rashi holds Achshavinu by itself is enough to asa. That's what Rashi learns. Achshavinu by itself is enough to asa. We learned till now that Achshavinu by itself is not enough to asa.
You need the
Beit Menashe. You need a place that's doing it in order for the Achshavinu to asa. Reb Zera is explaining why Beit Menashe asks the whole world, because they have an Achshavinu. But Achshavinu by itself would not work. Rashi and Tosfos say Achshavinu by itself is enough to asa. Either Gemara says Shar Peiros is mutter. The Gemara says Shar Peiros is mutter. Rashi explains Shar Peiros is mutter only in the case where I'm doing a matak as a pri. The Taz goes with Rashi. The Bir Halacha argues, and he says, I'm not going to go through the whole long Bir Halacha, but if you look at the Bir Halacha, the Ratzka Muslim Sachtan, he goes through, you see in the beginning, I be Mr. Baruch Kosta that Philuk is a Sachtan, l'shem mashke, it's mutter. V'av she'ataz, hiskim, the Shittas Rashi, even though the Taz was maskim to Rashi Shita, the Dafkim Sachtan Stoma, only if you sechet it stam. But nuchal loyma, you could say the kavanasa kedei the mataka pri v'loy l'shem mashke upirish keinu das kol hapoiskim. Taz says that's the das of kol hapoiskim shehuvu b'seisif and matirim l'sechtam. Be'emes says the Be'alach, it's not the way. Das of Shulchan Aruch ein kain mit the hitir v'sivav l'schoit lemons. he's matter to squeeze out lemons, and therefore to Raya, the idea is squeezing out the lemons because you want the juice. According to the Taz, there will never be a fruit that you can squeeze out for the juice. Nothing. Because always you have the akshavinu. According to the Be'alacha, you do have a fruit that's mutter to squeeze out for the juice, because akshavinu by itself will not work.
No, but how are lemons a raya? Because there's no juice. We've said that it doesn't come up to a level of mashke.
The Taz is learning that even though it's something that no one squeezes out, if you yourself are squeezing it out, right away it's asa.
Right.
Anything you're doing for the mashke.
That's the
yeah, that's akshavinu.
Right.
So if you look towards the end of the Be'alacha, it's the second to the last line. There's a dot, all at the end of the line. Hayetze Michel Eile. See it? Hayetze Michel Eile. That Be'alacha, Mutta Sachtan, all the way at the end of the page.
Second to
the last line of the page, I meant. Hayetze Michel Eile. The Kivin the Dasa Riv, Rambam, Smag, Rosh, Torah, Yechiel, Ramban, Rashba, Ritzvah, Kolboy, Kulam, Tofsu, Lahate, B'Shari, Peris, Afilu, B'Shesachta, L'Shem Mashko, Ein Lanu Lochash, Dasa Machmirim. You don't have to worry about the Dasa Machmirim, it's Hadadin, the Yechidoyim, the Gabayim. Then Yechidoyim. That's the Be'alacha Paskins. So Be'alacha Paskins that Shar Peris is Mutter, L'Sechtam, even though it's not L'Matak T'Pri. V'gam the Efshel L'Fi, Tirutza de Papa, Gam Rash, V'Taisim Moedim, V'Shchas V'Poitskim, Im Loi, B'Mokim Shel Nohagul L'Hachmer K'Shittas Rashi. If you have a certain place that the minhag was to be machmer like Rashi, then V'Siyaitai, Ein L'Hakol B'Zeh. Masha'ekein, every other place that they don't have any minhag to be machmer, they don't have to be machmer, and Shar Peris is Mutter L'Seichtam. Now, the Maisa, the way we spoke about before, for today, it's not again. It's halach anyway. Because we don't have Shar Peris today. But let's going to find the guy wants to squeeze out a cucumber, let's say. Maybe that's called Shar Peris. But Pashas, we don't have Shar Peris today, so anyway, it's halach, it's not negated to us. Shar Peris is Machlokes, Rashi and other Rishonim, whether there's an Akshavinu or not. But we hold all Peris today are not Shar Peris. They're in the category of Tutim V'Rimonim. Fine. Says the Ramah. Now in a place that they squeeze out Paris Lishtas Meimov, which is like Tutim V'Rimonim, Machmas Sama Oitainu, because they're thirsty or because they enjoy the juices, Dinoi Ketutim V'Rimonim. Aval Nago Lischai L'Refuah Levad, if they squeeze it out for Refuah, Ein Lachosh. You don't have to worry about it. I mean, even though there's a place that squeezes out fruit, but not to drink it, they're doing it not for some or tainug, not because they're thirsty, because they enjoy the juice, but they're squeezing it out because they need the juices for a refuah. That does not make it into Hashem mashke. So this is Tutim V'Rimonim. Tutim V'Rimonim, you have a place that squeezes it out, it's awesome.
Would the melons be considered shara peros, or would you still say it's the
melons?
Yeah.
Does anybody, you ever see anybody selling cantaloupe juice?
Yeah, they do now.
They have cantaloupe juice?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the question.
Watermelon, exactly.
Watermelon juice.
Watermelon juice.
Okay, so then if everything will come, that's Tutim V'Rimonim.
No, pomegranate, but
then everything will come, that's Tutim V'Rimonim. If there's a place that squeezes it out.
But it's not free. It's not. Is it?
Does make a difference? Yeah, does make a difference.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's why the place say everything today is a din like Tutim V'Rimonim. From today they make juices out of everything.
Yeah.
But you can make juice by hand. You can't squeeze carrots by hand.
Yeah.
So it's impossible to get the juice from anything. You need to do the machine or whatever for this stuff.
You have to know carrot juice, they squeeze out the carrots, or they
it's grated and then
No,
There is a
squeeze.
there is a
But I mean by hand, on Shabbos you can't do nothing.
Yeah, it's not negay anyway, because you can't squeeze out the car anyway on Shabbos. So what's negay to it? It's not negay anyway.
It has to be
But the truth, I wonder, it's a good shaila. If you have something you could squeeze out by hand, but
Only soft.
But don't squeeze it out by hand. You can't get enough juice out of it.
Right.
From
The
nothing.
only way you make it is through blending it very, very
You can't use
fine.
a blender anyway, so.
I wonder if that's called. I wonder maybe that's not called the mashka.
Then even zaitim you cannot do it by hand.
Nothing.
Zaitim is only something
No, you can do
you have
it-
to
you
stab.
can do it- No, what I mean is they don't separate. What I mean is, of course, zaitim also you need a press to press it. But what you're doing with zaitim is you're pressing it out and you're leaving the boss of the flesh of the zaitim and you're taking out the juice. Today, a lot of the fruit that they're doing, they're not doing that to them. They're just blending it so well that it becomes a juice. Maybe that's not called the mashka. Maybe that's not called the Lichtenstein. I wonder.
No, any fruit that you take and you try to juice it, even if you make it very, then the leftovers is always the basar. It's always leftover.
Yeah, because
Yeah, it will always be.
some of the pulp is inside.
Yeah,
The fruit is
yeah.
Even tomato.
And I think it's a child. If it's a fruit that they don't squeeze out, it's a fruit they don't separate any part of the fruit, the juice from the flesh.
Right.
The way they make it, the juice is by blending it so well that it becomes a juice.
Right.
I wonder if that's called
But it's done there's two ways that they do it. It's either done in a blender, or it's done
they squeeze it so hard.
where it's squeezed and the pulp is removed.
Oh, so
Right.
There's two ways.
But by hand on Shabbos you
When you make
technically
these
can do nothing.
smoothies, so basically everything stays in there to a fine.
No.
But we have a juicer.
No, to do a smoothie on Shabbos itself, if you could do it, that's definitely not schita. That's a problem of tchina maybe.
Right.
That's a problem of smashing it.
Right.
Maybe a different issue. But I'm saying if you want to know if the juices of a fruit are called a mashka, if it's a fruit that the only way they take out, they don't take out the juice.
Right.
They grind up the whole fruit
Right to get the juice.
and to make it into a juice. It could be it's not called a mashka, but it's schita. Because so you're basically eating the whole fruit. You're just drinking the fruit instead of eating the fruit. Okay, so now the Moshe says on the place where they squeeze out any type of fruit, it becomes like tutim v'rimonim, and it's awesome. Now from the Ramah is mashma that mokim shenago lischat eze peris means in the place where they squeeze it out, it's awesome. How about if they squeeze it out in one place and I'm living in another place? Is it awesome or is it mutter? That's the big question over here. What the Ramah means. So let's see the Magen Avraham. We'll see how much of the Magen Avraham we get to today. Magen Avraham Sifkon Aleph V'Mokim. L'chayr tzarachin. The Rabbi says of Kasav V'Mnoid Alanu. If we know Shebishum Mokim in any place Seichtin Pri Echad in any place in the world there's a place that squeezes out the fruit. Also l'Seichtan. Today. Every place can't squeeze it out. Because the Ashkam b'moinim shasudim l'sachtam. Why? Mishum the Bei Menashe shahayu rabim. Because there were a lot of people. Look at the chashina l'minig arviyim gabim kaim kreitzim b'kerem. Kaim kreitzim b'kerem is a different halacha that the people keep kreitzim when it has a problem of klayim. Im kein mashma. Then b'mokim echad noago l'seichtoi. If in one place in the world the minig is to seichet these peiris, they squeeze it out. Also, it's also in the whole world to squeeze it out. The Ramah, if you look at the Lashon of Ramah, the Ramah says, it's also. The Lashon of Ramah is mashma, in that place, in that place, where they squeeze it out is also. It doesn't say, im yesh makayim. They squeeze it out, it's also in the whole world. Uba Makkah means in that place, it's awesome. So the Magen Avraham is medayik for the Ramah. The Lama calls the Ramah Uba Makkah, Mashma de Ba'oisei Makkah Aser Uba Sham Mekayim Mishari. It's Mashma from the Magen Avraham. It's from the Ramah that only that place is Aser, and all other places is Mutter. That's the Magen Avraham's kasha on the Ramah. The Rishasim is Mashma that all over, once you have one place that squeezes it, all over it's Aser, and the Magen Avraham is mashmer only the Ramah is mashma only in that place it's also. Says the Magen Avram, Avonirally, the Moshe Emes v'Serasa Emes. Moshe Emes means the Ramah, Moshe Sulish. Moshe Emes v'Serasa Emes, what the Ramah paskins, that only in that place is also, says the Magen Avram, Azoi is taka true. Why? We did Rabbi Seisef Tmuim. So Shakal v'Taya b'Gemara, Lipa de Eliezer, the whole Gemara that says that when you squeeze it out of one place, it's also all over, it's only according to Rabbi Eliezer. But non kaimel kachachamim. We pass like the chachamim, k'moshkosav yerdeisim v'chandlik vov, sif yudalid. The dafka ba'oisei makam shemekayim kaitzim also l'kaimam, u'b'shar mekayim b'shari. Only in that place where the mekayim kaitzim b'karem, where they keep kaitzim as food, so it has a din oichel and it's ishaklayim. Only in that place it's also. Shar mekayim is mutter. If ken hachanami adin kain. Here also, by tutim v'remoinim should be the same thing. So till now the Magen Avram says the Ramah is mashma that if you squeeze that tutim v'remoinim in a certain place, in that place it's also. In every other place, it's mutter. Masha'en kain, the Mechaber holds that's also in all places. And he says that's the machlekes of Eliezer and Chachamim. The Chachamim hold it's only also in that place, and Eliezer holds it also in the whole world, and we pass like the Chachamim. That's what the Magen Avram says. Now, if you read the Magen Avram till here as mashma, then that's why he paskins. He paskins like the Ramah, and only in that place is also, and every other place it's mutter. And the Mechaber is going to hold that it's mutter, it's also in all places. But later on, the Magen Avram gets very complicated because it's mashma that he's going with the Mechaber. It's a big machlokes in the Achronim exactly how the Magen Avram. The Magen Avram himself paskins like that, like the Ramah, that only in that place it's also. Or does he pass like the Mechaber that all places it's also? So if you read the Magen Avram, it's not very clear exactly what it means. We'll go through the Magen Avram, we'll point out some places that's mashma one way, the other way, and then we'll see how the Michel learns the Magen Avram.
So the fact that he says Moshe Emes v'Serasa Emes,
clearly he holds.
He holds that he holds.
Yeah,
like
right, but
I'm not saying the other way. I know
later on
the Mishnah tells us that he doesn't hold like that, like the Ramah.
Right, because later on in Magen Avram, his mashma is going with the Mechaber.
His introduction doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's a kasha.
The whole thing.
It's a kasha. Yeah, the Mishnah definitely learns the Magen Avram. He's passing like the Mechaber.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, if you look at the Mishnah, we look at the Mishnah right away. Look at the Mishnah, Sif Katan Ches. V'mochem shenoagu. Machmed v'oisim mochem aser v'sham mekayim yeshari. We'll see this soon later on in the Magen Avram. Im derech l'hoylech ha'mashka shal ha'peis v'mochem l'mochem aser v'chol ha'olam. Which is today basically all payers. Even though let's say we'll pass like the Ramah, that only in the place where you squeeze it it's also. But today, when they squeeze fruits, they ship it all over the world. So unless there's some in Africa where it doesn't reach, then maybe you'll have the Ramah's din. But basically, all over the world, if they squeeze fruits in one place, they ship it out all over the whole world. So therefore, today, even if you have like the Ramah, that only in that makom it's also, but if they ship it to the whole world, it's also, so it's considered like that place. All this is only according to the Ramah. The Ramah holds that only in that place it's also. His maskana is so the Mishnah definitely learns that Magen Avram Pashkins not like the Ramah. He passes like the Mechaber. Even though he said Moshe Emes and Serasa Emes, that should be also only in that Makom. The Mishnah definitely learns that Magen Avram and Maskana Pashkin that if you find one place that squeezes it out, it's also in the whole world. So let's see Magen Avram weiter. Shabbos had the base of Mina and Echad Ma'an Shehutzal. Anshe was a place Shehoitzi Master Roshi carried a package on his head like the Arabs do today. Potter. Even though his city does it, they're not considered. It's not enough people to make it into a Isser. V'chein Peir Simin Shimpei Vav Sivav Gar Basar that's basar if it's enough for an Eruv. So if you have for an Eruv you have to have Motor Stay Sudas. So if you make the Suda only from meat, you have to have a bigger amount. If the meat is a lefes for a pass, it's tuffle to the pass, you have to have less. So by basar, most people today, it's not the way, but usually most people didn't eat meat as a meal. They only ate it as a tuffle, as something to eat with the bread. So you need a smaller amount for an eruv. Because what Tosis Ladam and the Kaitzim Ma'arviyah Hasan and Hayel L'chal Olam Rev Gemalim K'may Ba'arviyim Hayel Kaim Kaitzim V'chein Hayel L'chal Olam Chul L'Amel Remoinim Harbei K'may Beis Menashe Hayel Sechtim. So this is the Yisrael you have to know. We'll see soon also in the Magavam again that the only time that if they have Tutim V'Remoinim in one place that it's also L'chal Olam Chulai is only if the whole world would have had Tutim V'Remoinim, they would also squeeze it out. But let's say there's a place that squeezes that Tutim V'Remoinim, and they're funny people. Most people in the world wouldn't drink it. Then, it's not also for the whole world to squeeze it out. The only reason why it's also for the whole world to squeeze it out is because if they would also have lots of Tutim V'Remoinim, they would squeeze it out, so then it's also.
Can you please explain to me very quickly what's the difference between that and B'nai Menashe?
No, but they actually had a lot.
So this is basically the same kind
of thing? Yeah, this is B'nai Menashe.
So the thing what happens in Arabia, same thing about B'nai Menashe?
Yeah, besides Anshe Hutzal, because Anshe Hutzal, people have packages and they don't carry it on their heads. So you see they're different people. But Tutim V'Remoinim and by Kaitzim, because they had so much Kaitzim, so they planted it. Most people didn't have so much, so they didn't plant it. Come up with Gemara, Isib Hedish, Beis Menashe Lo Yimokim Alachad Gavim, Kein Lamas Lo L'Shchad Remoinim, V'doich L'Lem Shamakshim Atatzim, V'Mechalkim V'Tzias, V'Meshchazim V'Mesesiv. I don't want to get into that. It's a whole machlokes of how to understand the Makshim, the Tatzim, and that's how the Mesiv answers his Mahalach. V'zel Shai Ram Pei Chav Aleph, Oslo L'Shchad Tutim V'Remoinim, Ha'al Mitzvah B'nei Adam Tzech L'Lai Sam Gezim Ha'Novim, V'Shar Peris Mut L'Seichtam, V'She'ena B'nei Schita Achal Hashem, V'chein Chas V'Rif, V'chein Hevi Hadar Av Chista, V'chein Tzach Lav Av Chista, Hachag Avakir, the Mitzvah B'nei Adam Tzech L'Lai Sam, V'Achshavinu, I was saying Zera the whole time, right? I'm sorry, it's a Chista. Havle Mashke, Teda Demleke Lama Kama Braita Shabbos Menashe, Kokach Taimad Achshavinu L'Chud Loi Mahani, Achshavinu by itself is not like Rashi, right? The time of Achshavinu by itself won't help. Im Loisha mixes from the Adam Seichtet Oisa Gamkein. Afilu Einon Ir Shleima. Now, says the Magen Avraham, V'dafka Be'inyin, Shem Hayel L'Chola Oilam Peiris Harbe, if the whole world would have a lot of Peiris, Ke'elu, Hayu Seichtet Oisa, they would squeeze it out. Abalavi Hachi, Afilu B'chad Makar Mir Batal Daiton. Even if you have a place that squeezes it out, Batal Daiton. So the only time we say that squeezing out something becomes a minig and it becomes a mashke is only if the reason why they're squeezing it out is because they have a lot of peiris, and if the whole world would also have it, they'd also squeeze it out. But if they're doing something that most people wouldn't do, even if they would have a lot of peiris, they're different.
But, so he's basically saying like the Ramah. He's basically saying, dafka in that place, but otherwise else.
No, where is he saying dafka in that place?
Well, because he's saying dafka where they have peiros harbes, they have a lot of it.
No, if the whole world would have peiros harbe, they would also squeeze it out.
Yeah, but
this place,
it's only doing in that specific place.
No, that specific place has peiros harbe.
Right.
Therefore, they're squeezing it out.
And therefore,
it's also chol ha'olam. Yeah, that's why dafka in that place. He's saying if that place would squeeze it out.
Right, but that's not the Ramah.
No, it's not the Ramah, right?
No.
If that place that squeezes it out, is not because they have a lot of peiros, it's a funny thing to do, and if the whole world would have that free, they still wouldn't squeeze it out. He's saying it will still be also in that place.
Right, so this is not like the Ramah, this is
right.
Like the Shulchan.
Yeah, that's right, also the whole world.
Yeah.
Shar Peiris Shari. Shar Peiris is mutter, not like Rashi. Right? We say now Achshavinu by itself wouldn't be enough. It has to be with Beis Menashe. V'imken Hani Agasya, Shekayim Berenice, which is Berenice is peers, Lashon Ashkenaz. Also the Seichtan, it's also the squeeze out. If you look at the Magen Avram here, here's where it gets tricky. Is he passing like the Ramah or is he passing like the Mechaber? Also the Seichtan, if it's Medinas Ashkenaz, no Agul the Seichtan. Because the Medinas Ashkenaz, the meaning was to squeeze it out. The Mashke. If you read these words of the Ramah is passing like of the Magen Avram, he's passing like the Ramah. He's passing like the Mechaber, that barrenness, since in Ashkenaz, in Germany, they would squeeze it out, therefore it's also the Chala Olam Kulai. That's probably where the Mishnah Berurah got it from.
Mishnah Berurah gets it from.
That they says.
Continue the Mishnah Berurah.
Yeah, later on it brings that.
Exactly that.
Yeah. But let's read the next words in the Magen Avram. V'arash kosav resh kelim v'shem Yerushalmi she'im b'mokem echad noagol l'kayim zoynim v'derech la'alicha b'mokem l'mokem also l'kayim b'chol ha'olam ayin sham. What's this? What's the Magen Avram bringing in it from the Rash? There's this one place that's Mekayim it, goes with it out, and they ship it out to a different place, then the other place also was also. If he's going with the Mechaber, this halacha is not a gain.
You don't have to ship it.
Even if you don't ship it, it's also. Anyway, it's also. If you find one place that does it, anyway, it's also. So the first line in the Magen Avram is Mashma, that Ashkenaz, since Ashkenaz does it, it's also l'chol ha'olam kulai. Is mashma like the Mechaber. Then v'rash kosav resh klayim shem Yerushalmi shem b'mokem echad noagol l'kayim zoynim v'derech halicha b'mokem l'mokem also l'kayim b'chol ha'olam ayin sham. V'im came hu adin kan. Why is the Magen Avram saying that for? According to the Mechaber, you don't need that. According to the Mechaber, once you have one place that does it, anyway it's us in the whole world, even though you don't ship it. So why is he saying that you're shipping it?
So he's adding in another condition, basically.
So yeah, so you can learn. Either you can learn.
That's just another example.
According to Mechaber, it's not necessary.
No, I know, but
the shipping part is just the
why is that? That's.
But if you just said before,
you're reading into that is because it's shipped.
Right. He said before it's shipped.
Yeah.
No, I know.
It is that's just the way it was.
It's what? Yeah.
Who cares about derech halicha? Who cares about derech halicha? Who cares if derech is to bring it to other places?
That was the case of the Rush. That's what
you're saying. You don't need that.
You don't need it. That was what the Rush.
Okay. So if you can say that, so the Magen Avram never, according to the Ramah, it says only in that place is also. If you ship it to other places, is the other place also or not? According to the Ramah.
No.
No, the Ramah would say only.
And shipping it.
The pirate shipping doesn't make a difference.
Okay. So we just saw the Mishnah Berurah says that the Ramah holds only in that place, but if you ship it, it's also.
Right.
Where did you get that from? Where did the Mishnah Berurah get that from in the Ramah? He gets it from here.
Right.
So you see, he's learning the Magen Avram that the derech ha'lichan is dafka. Right? The Mishnah Berurah just saw now, Tzid Khan Ches. Kim derech ha'lichan machkus ha'peiz ha'makam l'makayim, also b'chal ha'olam. Who is that? The Magen Avram. Right? Where did you get it from? That's this line, the Magen Avram. If you tell me the derech ha'lichan, the Magen Avram is parathenical, it's gay really, then where's the Mishnah Berurah get it from? Elamai, he looked at Magen Avram over here, it's tafka, for derech ha'lichan. So we say the Magen Avram holds like the Mechaber, then who cares if it's derech ha'lichan or not? So the way I would look at the Magen Avram is, he's saying barrenness is also why? Because they do it at Ashkenaz, and also the Rash Paskins, the Rash brings that from the Yerushalmi, they ship it throughout the whole world, it's also, and the barrenness, they would ship out the Jews throughout the whole world. If you learn the Magen Avram that way, then we don't see the Magen Avram pass like the Mechaber. So he passes like the Ramah, like the Ramah. You don't see the Magen Avram pass like the Mechaber. So Mishnah Berurah got the psak of the Magen Avram from the barrenness. But in the next line, it's Shver. What's it bringing from the Yerushalmi? That's why this Magen Avram is a little complicated. How to learn the Magen Avram? Right? What's it bringing it for?
And then it's Moshe Torah assignment.
That's a kasha. Yeah. But so I'm saying, but if you're learning, I'm learning now. It's very good. Moshe every pass like the Ramah.
Because you ship it.
He never passed like the Mechaber.
Right.
Why is barrenness also?
Because you ship it.
Because you're shipping it.
Yeah.
He never said that barrenness is also because one place does it, therefore it's also in the whole world. Don't put a period before the Varash Kosav. Varash Kosav is a hemshech. Berenice is also why they do it in Ashkenaz, and the Rash says that if you ship something, it's also throughout the whole world. Then he passes like the Ramah.
How do you learn the line before the Rash?
What, the Berenice?
Yeah.
No, the Rash says that if you ship throughout the whole world, it's also.
You're connecting it.
Yeah.
You're connecting it.
An extension. Right, maybe.
Yes.
Maybe.
Well, it makes sense to say that.
Isn't the question more on why the Mishnah Baruch?
Yeah, the Mishnah Baruch said that the Magen Avram passes like the Mechaber.
Right. So is there anyone that argues on the Mishnah Baruch?
Yeah, a lot of them argue in the Mishnah Baruch. Yeah. Machzah Shekel argues in the Mishnah Baruch. There's a lot of
But the Mishnah Baruch doesn't link the two together.
He doesn't, because he holds that the Magen Avram is passing like the Mechaber. So he says barrenness is a thing by itself. And then the Magen Avram brings down the Rash. So that's what going to say. And bringing down the Rash, that even according to the Ramah, it will also be Yasser. The barrenness is also because of the Mechaber. And then it brings down the Rash, we should know that even according to the Ramah, in the case of the ship, it will be Yasser. That's the question, how on the Magen Avram. Yeah, those two lines of the Magen Avram are very crucial. Let's just finish with the Magen Avram. The Bach also the Bach holds like Rashi that also to squeeze even sharp pears only to sweeten the pre is mutter. Like Rashi, here's a new halacha. Says the Magen Avram, nearly to sharp pears. He's squeezing it out only the tava by Michel, to dip food into it. That means he's squeezing it out into the food. Squeezing it out into the food directly, we'll see later on. He's saying squeezing it out into a cup, into a plate, to dip food into it. Shari. Why the mikri mashker? Mashkasa be says Semicha balalaket v'rosh. I mashka ksavta sifheis ayin sivav. Meaning, what it's saying here is a chiddush. If you squeeze it into a cup to drink it, it's awesome. If you squeeze it into a cup, the towel by oichel, sharp peris is mutter. Even though I want the liquid, it's not lamata against a pri.
Right.
Says the Mishnah Baruch over here on this halacha. If you look at the Mishnah Baruch here at the end of Sif Kotin Ches, right after the Yud of the Sharatzin, V'afilu b'mokim shenoagu lahachmer b'shar peris, hainu davki chesechta l'shem mashke, aber chesechta b'kairu tal b'yamaychel shari, l'mikri mashke b'zeh. But, says the Mishnah Baruch, u'b'zeisim v'anovim osir af ba'ofen zeh. Zeisim v'anovim is osir even in that case. Why? Because Zeisim v'anovim is called a mashke. The only reason why it's mutter to squeeze sharp peris into a cup to dip into it, because that's not called a mashke. It's called the roichel still. But Zeisim v'anovim, once you squeeze it into a cup, it's called a mashke. You don't have that heter. And we'll see later on.
Tutim is okay. You could do tutim and...
Tutim v'rimoinim...
Because they're not mentioned here. That's
no, tutim v'rimoinim...
Because he dafka mentions anovim and...
Right, but if you look later on...
That's interesting because they see no...
We'll see later on. It's Sharatzin. Sharatzin Sif Kol Chav Gimel. We'll get to it.
Okay.
We'll see in the next 2 weeks. Yeah, but so basically what we have over here is, at the end of this Magen Avram, is that sharp peris, you're not squeezing it into a cup. If you're doing it the top of boy. Zeisim v'anovim is awesome. Tutim v'rimoinim we'll see later on.
So if
we didn't finish the Ramah here. I guess I'll finish it next week.
If somebody squeezed into a cup their tableau,
right,
and somebody else drank that,
it's fine.
It's fine?
Yeah.
What if
I squeezed it, I did a
what if I did it to the tableau? I did in the tableau.
And then you want to drink the rest? Could be close to mutter.